Well, hello, Jane. Hello, everybody that's here. I am Shannon, and I am the Youth Programs Manager, they tell me. And I am so excited to see you here today. I went to LDSPMA, and we just had a big hit of inspiration. And the inspiration was that um, we, our youth have cell phones, and we're telling them, don't be on them, don't be up late, turn that off in class, lock that up. And they tell you, be the light of the world. Influence everybody. Use that cell phone as soon as you go on a mission or as soon as you have a talent. And so what we really want to do is make sure that you are the influencer you can be, that you are the light on the hill, that you are everything that you want to be, and that we support you in knowing how to be an influencer and how to do all that social media stuff and how to do anything that it is you want to do with your skill and your creativity and your talent. Hi, we were just talking about how our parents and our schools and everybody tell us, don't use social media, get off that, stay off the computer, what are you doing? And then now we're going to tell you, be an influencer, be the light. So President Nelson, I'm going to open with a little quote by him. He said, my question to every one of you between the ages of 12 and 18 is this: would you like to be a big part of the greatest challenge, the greatest cause, and the greatest work on earth today? Our Heavenly Father has reserved so many of his noble spirits, perhaps I might say his finest team for his final phase. Those noble spirits, those finest players are heroes, and they're you. That was in 2018 at the Youth Devotional, even before COVID. So I'm going to tell you a little bit, one little thing about me. I paint and I write books, and they're published and traditionally, but when I was 11, I had oil paints. I got them for Christmas. I was dying to learn how. And I made my mother sign me up for a class. I got there and it was a college class, and I stayed. And then I wanted to do more. And thanks to inspiration and my mother, she exchanged laundry for a BYU art professor to teach me for many years. When I wanted to do that, I wanted to do pictures that were inspirational. And I feel like the Lord opened doors for me. And later it paid for my son's mission. So that's why it's really important for me, for you, to have what you need with whatever it is you want to do as much as you want to do. So last year while we were at conference, we had a little shot of inspiration, and this is it. We would like to start a group called LDSPMA Next Generation, and that's you. You're the next generation. And if you want a better name, you'll get a chance to give it a better name. We want to come up with themes with the youth that the youth pick and the youth choose. Like we were thinking for 2025, maybe think celestial. And how does that work with our arts? And we would come up with taglines and things for you to do when you got here. In other words, you go to the conference and you're in with everybody, but there may be some things that you want that we're not doing. And we want to give youth a chance to talk about those things so that when you get to the conference next year, what you want is there. We want your voice. So like the nuts and bolts of becoming a Bonner, how to build a portfolio, crafting books, how to get published. How does the spirit work in creativity? What's an agent? How do I make a movie? All of those things are things that we are hoping to ask you what you want. We are looking to create an advisory board this next year. We need youth to volunteer to meet twice to tell us next year, well, what do we want at the conference? What do you need? What do you want to see? What's overwhelming? The other thing we want to do is to find youth who are willing to be young leaders. So pay really close attention this year at conference. And if you're interested, the young leaders will be sort of a spot in conference where youth can go to ask questions from people that are not adults, right? And where youth can sit and meet and visit together. We think getting to know each other is just as important as what you learn in the classes, because when you get to know each other, you end up like a couple of the people that are here today, supporting each other over the years as you learn your craft. So that is who we are. And everybody who's here today was a youth that has done something amazing, and we all believe that you can too. So I'm gonna kind of turn the time over to my partner in crime, Heather. Heather is a writer, and she is a leader at LDSPMA and works with a lot of youth. So Heather, she's part of our youth committee. So Heather, you want to take over?
Yeah, just have to remember to turn on the mic. Are you able to hear me all right? Good, good. Okay. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing really the moderators of our call. And they're two of my friends, Brittney and Alysha Bennett. We just happen to live in the same town right now. And so it's been a real blessing and privilege for me to watch these young ladies grow up over the years and also to be able to travel with them to last year's conference. And we had a really neat experience. And so I'm actually going to ask a few questions from Alysha and Brittney. And first of all, I would just like to ask the girls, tell us a little bit about your interests. I have a full bio for each of you right here. But I'd love to hear you explain what are some of the ways that you feel like you are developing your interests and talents to add to the kingdom of God on the earth and to build your the life that you love.
You want to go first or should I?
You said.
Okay.
Older. Might as well.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I really love music. I love singing, I love dancing, I love acting, I love songwriting. And I'm not perfect at it, and that's probably been the thing that's held me back the most, is I always grew up with this kind of like imposter syndrome, like I'm not good enough. I see other kids who are cooler than me on America's Got Talent, and so I was I was scared for a lot of the time. But when I finally chose to just start working from where I was at, I found that I really loved specifically to write songs. So that's probably been a great one of my personal favorite things to do with my spare time. Some of the ways that I've been able to use my music to serve the Lord and build His kingdom. When I was younger, I had a school assignment and I was supposed to write a song or just do some sort of artistic piece for refugee support. And I actually took it a little farther than the assignment asked, and I wrote the song and I posted it all over social media, and I did a GoFundMe, and I was able to raise like $1,400 for refugees. Just little things like that. When you choose to act in faith and put your mind to something, God helps you, despite how little you may feel. So that's kind of what I've learned over my years.
Okay, thanks. And so that was Brittney, and this is Alysha.
Yes, sorry.
How old are you, Brittney and Alysha?
I'm 18.
And I'm 16.
Okay.
And, my turn?
Yes.
Okay. I have always been a writer. I love reading. I would spend hours and hours and hours writing in my journal since the time I was 11 years old. It was like my hobby. And I loved the way that the written word could influence people and make them feel things. And I eventually I channeled that into songwriting. But I think that my most dominant way that I feel like I can help other people and build the Lord's kingdom is through my writings, because I don't know about you guys, but I think Elder Holland is the coolest person that ever lived. And I aspire to be just like him in the way that he speaks and brings light into conversations and the way he talks. So that's the way I seek to bring the Lord's kingdom down here to earth, through my writing.
Great. Thank you. Thank you both. And I have a question for you specifically related to LDSPMA. So last year was the first year that Alysha attended and the second year that Brittney attended. Can you tell us what that conference, getting together with other people who are in the publishing industry and work through media and are artists of various kinds, can you just tell us about your experience, maybe particularly last time, but also what is it like for a young person to go to a conference that's mostly adults right now, right? And what did you get out of it? And, you know, maybe what would you, and then the end, I'll ask a little question. You can keep that in mind. What would you advise for young people going to the conference for the first time? So let's start with your last experience and how that was for you.
Should I start?
Yeah, you said.
Okay, so I've been going for 2 years in a row now. The first year I went, I was terrified at the beginning because I was like one of the only kids there. But because of that, I felt like I needed to carry myself like an adult. And what I really appreciated was that all the adults there treated me like one. And I got to like have the coolest one-on-one experiences with people that I'd only seen through a screen before that, through YouTube videos. And that was so life-changing for me, getting to meet those super inspiring people in person. And they're so willing to just like sit down with you and share some knowledge that they have. So yeah, I think that experience of interacting with those people was definitely one of the biggest and coolest experiences for me.
Yeah, along the lines of that, it was the same for me. I felt like, whoa, I'm a kid, I gotta kind of step up. So I did, and I remember it being really scary, but I saw people that I really wanted to know more about, and I wanted to know more about what they did and how they did it because I wanted to achieve that. And so I made a lot of connections, and I got a lot of people's little cards and got their emails and got their numbers and just really connected with people that have really helped me pursue this like field of artistry better for myself. And it's incredible meeting all the wonderful people.
I can't talk. It is so cool to have your own crowd of people that kind of know what you know, feel the same way you feel, and do similar things to what you do. And so being able to network with those people, and they also give you ideas and they give you resources. The cool thing about networking is that you kind of lift each other up. You give each other little legs up that just like, I don't know, that's what I observed so much in LDSPMA. Before that, I thought the arts world was all about competition, and I was really scared because I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. But that mentality that was at LDSPMA, they're like, oh no, let me help you just like someone else helped me before. And that was so cool to experience at LDSPMA.
Brittney and Alysha, Shannon asked the question, do you remember particular people that you met and why they were sort of influential for you?
Yes. For me, one of the coolest people, oh no, there were so many cool people. I don't even know where to start, you guys. Like every single one of them was amazing. But one of the speakers that came was Stephen Sharp Nelson from the Piano Guys. And something that I had been really concerned about in the music world, right? CJ knows. In the music world, I'm scared of not having success, but I'm also scared of success because what happens if I get too proud or I get too cocky or something like that? But Stephen Sharp Nelson kind of helped me abolish those fears because this guy, he got up on stage, he was so funny, he like put up a meme on the PowerPoint and laughed like for 5 minutes about his own meme. It was so funny. Like, I just love the man. And then afterwards, he, like, even though it was the anniversary of his father's death or something like that, he stayed behind to talk to every single person in the line and make them feel loved and supported because he knew that that's what his dad would want him to be doing, rather than going to this celebration for him. And it touched me so much that he was willing to have these like genuine, sincere conversations with everybody. And I was like, if I become an influential artist, that is what I want to be doing with my time. So he was super inspiring to me.
Very cool. Very cool. How about you, Alysha? Do you remember?
Well, I'm not a really cool person, but it leads to the story of how we became almost recognized by you guys. So I don't know if we want to dive into that right now. Should we?
Well, I think if there's a way to tell the story without all the details, we were laughing about the details because we were staying at the same place. We traveled together and we were staying at the same place during the conference. And this incident happened and I have a perspective of it and the girls have a perspective of it. And it all amounts to a really neat opportunity. So why don't you go ahead and, give us kind of maybe a Reader's Digest version of how that all played out.
Okay, so the really cool person that I met that like changed both of our lives exponentially was Ova Bonner. I remember seeing Yehosh Bonner first actually, and I used to go to the school, American Heritage School, and he was my gym teacher through online, right? And so we went over to go talk to them, and last year, Brittney, do you want to share how you recorded your first song?
Yeah, so I had made a different connection with a guy named Daniel Blomberg. You'll probably see him if you guys go to the conference this year. And he helped me record my first song that I wrote when I was 14. And he was like, hey, do you have anything you can show us? That is something really important to have, by the way, at LDSPMA, something that you can show that kind of shows off your talents just a little bit. And I was like, I guess I have this song that I recorded last year with Daniel, and we showed it to him, and that is actually what got us into the recording session with Oba that led to the song getting on the Strive to Be album next year. So yeah, very
So
exciting.
it's fantastic because LDSPMA being there was the reason that we met Oba in the first place, and the song that she was able to record because of going to LDSPMA last year and the connection she made there was what actually got us into the recording session with him. I remember we were just so excited to talk to them and show them what we had, and so I actually went up to him during, he was in front of like his little table and people were coming by talking to everybody there, and there was this little draw for a free recording session, and I like put my name in there, and I came back a little while later and was like, so when are you doing the draw, you know, because we would love that. I didn't say like we really want that. I was just like, when are you doing the draw? And he was like, you know what, you guys are from Canada, you came a long way to be here, you guys have lots of talent, you guys are present and you're working towards your futures, so let's just get it done. You ready? You want to come to record tomorrow? And we were just like, it was just me. And she is the one that usually takes charge and does stuff like this, so I was just like, I should go talk to my sister. But yeah, it was really incredible. Because we were there, we were able to meet Oba, and he was just so wonderful and inspiring and ready to work with us. And yeah, he helped it happen. We wrote it that night and recorded it the next morning. And Heather was a little bit concerned. That was what we were laughing about earlier. I was like, guess what? This guy wants to record with us tomorrow. And she was like, but it all worked out. Yeah, it all worked out in the end.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I would just like to emphasize how much of a miracle this was. Like, it wasn't just coincidence. On the drive to LDSPMA, I remember saying a prayer in my heart, and I said, God, please help us to be able to do something at LDSPMA that'll just help us to be able to touch as many hearts as possible. And then when this happened, I looked up and I was like, I didn't think you'd actually do it. Like, this is crazy. This is insane. This is definitely a miracle. And the biggest principle I think I learned there was that if you're willing in your heart, no matter how insignificant you may feel, God will use you if you're willing to be faithful for his work. It is all about just being faithful enough to say, okay, give it to me and I will do it. I will have the faith. And that is the biggest principle that I've probably learned through LDSPMA.
Yeah. I am a big believer in Alysha and Brittney. I believe in them. And I also believe that those of you who've joined us on this call and those who will see it after have similar gifts and talents and missions and opportunities waiting for you, and opportunities, talents already developed. I know that you're on a great path, and I hope that your involvement with LDSPMA will be part of the success and the joy and the feeling of being in the right place at the right time, doing the right things. And I think that that's something that I witnessed with Alysha and Brittney, is they were ready for the opportunity and they were faithful about it. And they used their gifts and talents for a really good thing. It was thrilling to be to watch that all happen and see them, in the room where they were staying, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know what should we add right here?" And they said, "We have to pray about it." And so they were very faithful, and it was a great example to me. So our time for our interview with Alysha and Brittney is pretty much up, but I would like to ask one more question. And I would also like to encourage anyone who sees these two young women at the conference to go ahead and go up to them and just ask the questions that you have. Introduce yourself, tell about what is exciting to you, and if you have any, would like any advice about, which speakers that they think would be really good or anything like that, just go ahead and strike up a conversation and make a network with them. So the last question, the final question that I'd like to ask before we move on in our presentation is, if you were to go to LDSPMA for the first time, what do you wish you would have known? Like, what have you learned about making it a kind of a peak and successful experience that you could pass on to the young people who are going to come?
I would say 3 things. Come prepared spiritually, temporally, and emotionally. I'll let you touch on temporally, if that's okay, because I know that I shared some of these ideas with you, but spiritually, like I already mentioned, coming with like an open heart and just being willing to receive what opportunities come your way and be faithful enough to take them is so important. And just having a heart that's right with God will definitely help you to find the most success, is what I've learned. And emotionally, I wanted to say, it is, I don't know, maybe this is just a me thing, but I think it's so easy to have anxiety about like, oh my goodness, that person over there is famous, I need to act cool, or I don't know, it can be scary sometimes. But or jealousy. It's easy to look at someone else who just like had a really cool connection and you're like, oh dang it, I missed my chance. And people were actually talking about that at the last conference I went to. But I find that, I guess they're connected spiritually and emotionally, but as we can choose to overcome those feelings of fear or anxiety or jealousy or anything like that, it helps the experience dramatically so much. Temporally, I was just going to talk about fast pitching.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, come prepared. There's an opportunity to network with people, and they have these little cards that have your information on them. Make those unique. Make those special. If you have a business card, like, make it special so that they remember you. And also, practice your fast pitching, which I think Shannon's going to talk a little bit more about. Just being able to, like, you might only have 30 seconds with someone that you want to tell about your ideas so that you guys can work together in the future. So be ready with some ideas that you can share with those people. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, ladies.
I think one way that would be like I would have wanted to know before I'm going to LDSPMA, one thing I would want to know is to be open. Because when I first went there, I was really scared. Now I was a little more closed off. I was willing to go watch the lessons, but not really talk to people afterwards, not really network, not really mingle around. But Brittney was actually a wonderful example to me, and I watched the way she just walked up to someone that she had questions for and was just like, she just asked them. She just said, like, you are incredible. I want to know more about you. Can you take a little bit of time? And they just talked, and she learned so many things. And so what I learned from her, actually, was just to just put myself out there, talk to the people I admire, learn anything that they're willing to tell me, and ask so many questions. Because they have answers. There will be answers all around us at this conference. I know a lot of times in my life I've been like, ugh, I wish I could do this, but I don't know how, and I don't know who I can go to ask how. This is the time. This is the place. So don't miss your chance to ask questions, because we're here to learn, and if you open yourself up and you're ready to go up and talk to people, you will learn so much.
Amen.
Okay. Anybody on the call have a question they'd like to ask Alysha or Brittney? Anything in particular come to mind right now? Not yet? Okay, you can also put it in the chat if you'd like, and I'll try to notice it and we'll bring it up later on. But again, when they're like in real life at the conference, don't hesitate to go up to them. You can see that they're both eager to help, and I think they have a lot to offer. So we'll turn the time over actually now to Brittney and Alysha, and I think we're moving right into our guest for the call. Not yet? No, one more.
So our youth that are coming to the conference for just a minute. Don't panic.
Okay.
And it's okay to put it in the chat if you're not comfortable talking. Brittney and Alysha, do you want to ask who's here and a little bit about what they do? Just these questions. What's your name? What's your passion? And what do you hope for at the conference?
Sure. I want to like invite someone to start, but at the same time, that would spoil the first question by asking you by your name. So does anyone want to volunteer to start by introducing themselves with your name and your passion and kind of what you hope to achieve at the conference?
If you're shy, it's okay. Just type it in the chat and we'll read it out as it comes in, okay?
I can go.
Thanks, Rachel.
Of course. So here, I gotta go back to the list of stuff. Okay, so my name is Rachel. I'm not like really a creator, but because I don't like write music or anything, but I love music and I love to sing, and all those wonderful things. And I came to LDSPMA with my mom last year. And then, so like my passion is music. And then what I'm hoping to achieve is really just like my favorite part was like going to all the classes and stuff and being able to like gain so much knowledge. And so I'm hoping to go this year to be able to gain more knowledge and just and to like meet people and just all that fun stuff.
Thank you, Rachel. Anybody else? Brave. So if you get brave and you want to put it in the chat, we'll pause at the end and make sure everybody gets in. What we want to hear is what
I'll
you.
introduce myself and Ari really fast if you want.
Hey, that's great.
And then, so I'm Paul Schwartz, and I still feel like I'm a youth. I still help with elementary school plays all the time. So I wish I was a youth still. But I'm the audiovisual coordinator for LDSPMA. So if you come to the conference, you'll probably see me running around going crazy trying to make all the cameras work. And I've loved making shows and music and stories, especially that relate to the gospel, since as long as I can remember, and have had lots of amazing chances to do that, including with CJ, who you'll hear more about later. Have been very blessed to be able to help with some of his projects. And then Ari, who I asked if she would come, came to the conference first as a teenager like you guys. And I don't even know if you really knew what it was, Ari. But now she is my right-hand tech person. And has been able to help run all sorts of cool equipment at the conference, and I'll let her tell more, but she even got to be one of the cameramen when we recorded CJ's concert earlier this year in the Salt Lake Tabernacle on Temple Square. So which would not have happened if we hadn't met her through LDSPMA. So do you want to share a sentence or two, Ari, about you and what you like about LDSPMA?
Yeah, so I started volunteering because my mom actually was the volunteer coordinator. She was like, we need camera people. But I met some really cool people doing camera stuff. It's actually how I got onto my first movie, and how then after that, I decided to go to school for it. But I'm very thankful for LDSPMA for kind of providing that door, especially because film isn't something that I thought was available to me. It isn't something that I thought that I could do. And it's very central around networking. So it's very good to have LDSPMA as that sort of getting your foot in the door sort of thing.
And please come say hi to us at the conference when you see us. You'll be sure to see us because we'll be running the cameras.
Yes,
I want to
come
hear
say
about,
hi. I'll probably be by a camera.
Yeah. I want to hear about Jane and Adam, what you guys like and what you like to create and stuff. Why are you here on this call? Who wants to go first?
I can go. My name is Adam. I like to write. I'm currently working on writing a book. And basically what I want at the conference is to be able to increase my skills.
Well, you're going to love it. Have you been before, Adam?
I have not.
Okay, you're going to love it. We got all the musicians and camera people on this call, but there's more than half of the conference is dedicated to the writing stuff. So you'll love it.
I actually have to represent for the writing side here.
Oh, thanks, Patrick.
I am Patrick Kidder. I am a fiction writer, and I also, based on things I learned at LDSPMA, have started a fantasy fiction magazine, which we're going to be looking for interns at the internship fair this year. So,
Well, and Adam, you have my name on all the emails, and I've published 9 books, and we're going to talk about Fast Pitch. But if you have questions, email me.
Yeah.
And I will get you connected, okay?
Right, you're a writer, Shannon. Sorry. We're good. Okay, Jane.
I like writing songs. Recently, I found an interest in writing songs, and I also learned that I like to write songs as well. Like a couple years ago, I did a school play, and in it, I got like a side role, but I found that I really enjoyed the singing parts. So then the next year, I got the lead role, and ever since then, I've really enjoyed writing and singing songs.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, yeah. What I hope to achieve at the conference is like I want to learn more about how to make better, like good songs, writing them, how to make it, like stuff like that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jane. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Very nice to meet you. It's very nice to
Yes.
meet you. I'll look forward to seeing you at the conference. Yeah. So I think that next we'll move on to having Brittney and Alysha introduce our guest.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to read this awesome biography. Christopher Jed, or CJ Madsen, is adjunct faculty. What did I say?
Mason.
Sorry, guys. I messed it up already. Madsen is adjunct faculty at the Brigham Young University School of Music, specializing in piano, conducting, and opera. CJ is completing doctoral studies in choral conducting at the University of Arizona, where he was also the director of the choir at the Latter-day Saint Tuscan Institute of Religion. CJ recently received the Master's of Music degree from Brigham Young University, or BYU, with an emphasis in choral conducting, and a bachelor's degree before that in piano performance, also from BYU. Wow. He has written over 800 compositions that have been performed by dozens of choirs and soloists. CJ's inspiration as a conductor, composer, and pianist come from his belief in Jesus Christ, his passion for people, his thirst for powerful music, and his love for his wife Sam and 4 children, Hollis, Charlotte, Jonathan, and Taryn,
like
Taryn. So cool.
like what in Taryn Nation?
I love it. Oh, and he nerds about the Book of Mormon, the exploits of the Latter-day Apostles, and anything related to the Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a good one.
Yes, of course. In fact, fun fact, last Sunday, I was so happy for many reasons. It was a Sunday. I was doing a recording of a work I wrote about the Tree of Life, and BYU had just won a football game the day before that I'd taken my boys to, and it was Bilbo Baggins' birthday. It's about as great a day as it could be.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have got some... Oh wait, no. Are we going to do the video first? Do you have some materials that you'd like to share with us at all?
Yeah, Paul, where do you want to do the video in this? After we talk or before?
Why didn't you girls ask him his questions? That'll give him time to get them together.
Okay,
Sure,
great.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
we can
Okay.
talk and then do it.
Sweet.
All right, I'll start off with the questions. By the way, for all the youth on here, CJ is a prime example of what happens to a youth who like begins and starts honing their talents and has incredible accomplishments. So he's really inspiring, and this is a great example of what we can become. I'm gonna ask you the first question. It's, can you tell us how old you were when you first became interested in composing and conducting music, and what sparked your desire to start creating?
So my very first piece was when I was 5 years old. It is in my mom's handwriting because I did not know how to write music. Oh, look at this. That is me about when I wrote my first piece. And yes, that is a triple combination Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants on my lap. It was some sort of Book of Mormon video we watched as a family, and there I was fast asleep. So that is I. But yeah, it was just a really simple piece. My mom is a piano teacher and did a really good job. She had her students write a piece every year for the summer. So for a while, I just wrote one a year, and then I really liked writing piano pieces, so I just kept writing in my chicken scratch handwriting. And like the bio said, I finally, like, it was just a massive mess. And then this summer I was like, it must be clean, it must be organized, and tallied it up, and I was like, I think it's around 700. It was 800. So yeah, by small and simple things, a lot of compositions come to pass, some better than others.
That's incredible.
That is amazing.
Wow.
Holy cow. Okay. My question for you is, when you feel or have felt opposition or adversity to the work you're doing, what have you done to fortify yourself so that you can continue? Because I know a lot of artists that like have all these awesome ideas and people, but they just don't quite, like, they run into these things and it's so hard for them to overcome. What do you do?
The thing that came to mind when you were talking, Adam, about writing a book, I thought about when I was 15. I wanted to write like a big story, and my brother had done like 100-page story a couple years before, which had been like the gold standard for my family. I grew up homeschooled. Me and my 3 siblings, we were really close, and so it just felt very intimidating. But I think looking back, it just was just buckling down and just doing it. And I think a principle one is to have trust in Christ. Like not only does Christ have the ability to help you with the things that he wants you to accomplish, but if you have ideas that are your own and you go to the Lord and like, I really want to do this, he'll help you. He not only wants he'll not only give you ideas, but he'll help you with the ideas you have yourself. And then with the story, it was fun because yeah, it was just pecking away. It's called The Colossal Kaboom. It's completely ridiculous. And if you want a good laugh, I can send you it's choice. But the other thing I learned is just it's better to do something mediocre than to say, oh, I'll do this, but it needs to be perfect, and then you get to put it off because you never get it done perfectly. My wife and I will just say that all the time. Like, it's better to do such and such thing, rushed, just with the time we have. Okay, it's better to get it out there than to try to wait until it's perfect. So if you have an idea, go for it, and don't worry about how good it is. The Lord will help you out.
Amen.
That's really good advice. I've had to learn that many times in my life. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it done.
And sometimes it's like the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, you know, all they had were 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and the Lord made it big. So many times, like just today, I was working on a piece for somebody. It's setting kind of some of Joseph Smith's history to music. And I was like, I have this many minutes to get a draft crank out, and it's just what I got. And I just pray. I was like, okay, this is how many minutes I got, Father, and let's just make it work. And in an ideal situation, I have bajillion amounts of time. In a real world, in fantasy land, we have oodles of time to write our fantasy novel or do our song. In reality, we have limited time. But that's the magic of it, because the Lord can take the little time you have and make it amazing. So trust that. Trust that the little time you have can work out.
Trust is huge. I think, can I ask you, what would you like the youth of the church to know? Like, if you could just make an announcement to all of them, what would you tell them? Like, if you could talk to all the youth in the world about their talents and letting their light shine, what would you say?
Oh, you know what? I can answer and share some pictures to show this. So let me see if I could share. Oh, yes, I can. Perfect. Okay. That is me when I was 13. Playing piano. I'm at a little grocery store that had a piano out every Christmas, and my mom came home one day and was like, you must do this. So this makes me think, if I had the youth, I think I'd tell them that the doctrine of Christ is really doctrine for success in anything. So I'll apply it to music because that's my field, but it can apply for writing or whatever. You need to have faith in Christ that the goals you have in mind can be accomplished. And so I think this picture of me playing just reminds me that growing up, I had someone, I felt like God believed in me, but also I had people that believed in me. So that's maybe a second step with the faith aspect is try to find somebody who can believe in you. Hopefully it's your parents. If you feel like your parents don't believe in you, maybe have a heart to heart with them and say, hey, I've got this dream. Can you help? Like, I need a cheerleader. Like, I'm sure your parents would be very interested in knowing that you want them to cheer for you. Maybe it's a writing mentor or maybe a music teacher, but find someone that has that faith in you that you can change the world. Now with that, let's see if I can. Okay, so that's me. I'm 18 there, and that is my homeschool / high school graduation. Just playing in the backyard, and repentance factors in because you can't just have the desire and people that believe in you. You need to put in the work, and in this case, you often need to sacrifice other things to be able to do what you love. From age 8 to age 15, my two loves were basketball and music. And then the year I was 15 hit. And while my piano practicing was really increasing, the team I was on for my community basketball, let's just say we ran up against some teams that were quite skilled. And it was a very humbling season for us. And I had this moment where I was like, okay, am I going to do basketball or am I going to do music? I just feel like I will be crushed if I try basketball. I think I better do music. No, I'm grateful. Good. And I still play basketball, love it, but I'm grateful for that sacrifice. So know that whatever you want to accomplish, if you want to write a novel, you got to have hours for it. There's probably other things you got to give up. And I'd say in our tech world, there's easier than ever to get distracted every day with random things that really you don't need to check in so often on, or you don't need to spend your time on. And so I just say, like, just watch out for things that aren't bad, but just take time away from the goals you really want. Okay, then with baptism, that reminds me of covenants and commitments. And I work with a lot of musicians, and I feel like the best musicians are not only good musicians, but they are good at committing. If they say, I can do this and I'll be there, and they're there, I know that is someone I can trust. And I've worked with musicians who have great talents, but they flake out, they cancel last minute, they don't answer emails. And so you can practice now. Just if you commit to someone, like your mom, like, hey, I'm gonna be home at this time, do it, be there. I've learned growing up that's really wise. And this picture is from me on my mission, and what better way to show commitment than I committed to the Lord for 2 years. And my one of my favorite musical moments was when someone came up to me and was like in the ward and said, so did you write fairy fantasy? And I was like, how did you know? And he said, well, I found you on YouTube. I stalked you. Can you play that piece for me? And it was this composition I wrote. In fact, I think the video is still on YouTube. You can find it. It's me in high school playing it. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking like, okay. And I could only play a minute and I totally forgotten the rest. And I had to stop. And I kind of laughed to myself. I was like, this is total commit, because I have so committed to the Lord that I've forgotten my own composition. It's sweet. And then last thing is following the Spirit. And well, actually, this is my next last thing. With the Holy Ghost, following the Spirit, just try to follow what the Lord tells you to do. And this picture is from a study abroad group that I was part of. I'm right there. And we went to Vienna, Austria on a music study abroad for BYU. And while we were there, I got the group organized, and we performed choral work that I wrote called One Fold, One Shepherd. You're going to hear a little bit of it in a few minutes. And this was a great example of the Lord kind of nudging me over about a year or two to write this work. And it's about the Savior's coming to the people in ancient America. Great thing to study this week. And it was a huge endeavor and completely out of my comfort zone. But there were just these assurances like, hey, this will be okay. Give it a try. And I'm grateful that the Lord nudged me to do that, and grateful for my wife's support and help, because it's been a big miracle ever since we performed it here. And then my last step, when you think about enduring to the end, making more covenants, like family has always come first for me. And, I just say to the youth, go change the world, but just be careful that you don't sacrifice God and don't sacrifice your family. This is my wife and 4 kids. And I am grateful for the Lord's reminders over and over again to, rather than work on such composition or this, to go play with my child, or go on a date with my wife, or just things. And I've always seen the Lord work things out. So in the midst of all your art, make sure that you put first things first and serve the Lord. Yeah, that's why I share.
I love that. Your family is beautiful, by the way.
Oh,
no,
thanks.
I'm so
They are quite a fun time. If they were here on the Zoom call, it'd be a lot louder. But
Oh, we know we have. There's
4
6 of
youngers.
us. Yeah, and the 2 of them are under the age of 4. So
It's a party.
okay, next time I'll bring my 4 kids. If you bring your siblings, we'll see
Hey,
which
there
one's
you go.
crazier.
Okay. Does anybody from the call have any questions that they'd like to ask CJ? You can either type them in the chat or just speak up and ask anything you'd like.
I type in the
practice for LDSPMA. Ask them.
Yes, we'll give you 30 seconds to type in the chat. I found that helps with Zoom.
I heard that you share your compositions for free on your website, which is crazy because usually a lot of musicians are like, oh, I need to make money doing this to make a living. So what made you choose to put all of that out for free?
The short answer is the Lord told me to. And
There you
at the end of
go.
the day, because yeah, I've had things that I've sold in the past, and by having a lot of my stuff for free, I don't recommend that to people necessarily. Like, you must do it free. I am someone where with the jobs that I have, the position I have ways to provide for my family. And if someone asks me to write a piece for them, I'll have asked if they can pay for it and stuff. But it just felt like the Lord was just telling me, so many people have helped me and for free, just with their talents and freely sharing it. It just felt like the Lord wanted me to give back in some way.
Thank you. That's awesome.
It's really
Alright.
inspiring.
Do we have any questions? Let's see.
Everyone's curiosity has been satiated. Excellent.
Awesome.
Though I'm surprised no one has any questions about my fangirling of apostles, because that is my other passion, and I love to just
That's what I was going
eat
to
up.
ask.
What, Paul?
That's what I was going to ask about.
Oh, excellent. Yes. Actually, I will tell you guys one cool. I love Elder Holland. Who is it that said they loved Elder Holland? Was it you, Brittney?
Oh,
Alysha? Yeah. One little tiny thing. I was lucky enough when I was at BYU to play background music for an event with the BYU Board of Trustees, which includes like Elder Holland and President Oaks and all that. And President Oaks gave me a thumbs up with a big smile. So I really have loved President Oaks since then. And Elder Holland came over, classic Elder Holland. He shakes my hand and he's like, "We're glad your mother made you practice." Which is kind of true. My mother did make me practice for a little bit. So
Good for her. That's
anyway,
awesome.
so I figure I love following what they do.
What a cool story.
That's
Well,
so
thank you
special.
so much, CJ. What a cool experience. We really appreciate you answering all those questions and sharing with us. I think it's time for us to turn the time to Heather.
Oh, Shannon said, "Where can we find your music?" I'll put it in the chat. It's called cjmadsenmusic.com. You can check out a lot of things. I'm also working on some projects. So I just wrote a big work about the Tree of Life that I'm gonna just record, and I just am putting it up there in a couple weeks. And then I'm also just started a quest to make a hymn arrangement for every hymn in the new hymn book. So I've started on the ones that have already come out. So if you have a favorite hymn and you'd love to see a certain version done, feel free to send me a message on the website or whatever, and I'll make an arrangement for you. I can't guarantee how fast I can get to it, but it'll be on my list. So
Let me know if you need any vocalists for that. That's so cool. Good for you. Okay, Heather.
You want to show the video now?
Yeah,
Heather?
yeah. I
Okay.
think, Brittany, I think there's a clip that we can watch of CJ's work, and so let's do that.
Let's do it.
Okay. While I'm pulling that up, awesome youth. Follow CJ's example. He's been an example to me. I've been blessed to help produce lots of his things and do the tech and stuff for them. And what he was saying about family was an example to me because he had 2 kids before I had kids. And that has blessed my life so much to not let my art get in the way of family and make that top priority. And his example specifically blessed me with that. So yeah. Um,
So Heather, did you want to give them any tips and tricks about the concert or I mean the conference? Do you have anything you want to add?
I think if we were all smart, we would go to one of CJ Madsen's concerts. That would be a tip or a trick that we could use. That was so beautiful. And when CJ was introducing it, I felt a confirmation that creating something beautiful to share that message was actually a thing, yeah, a thing that the spirit loves. And I felt a really great feeling about that. And so thanks for inspiring me, which kind of leads into what happens at the conference. So you've probably been to classes and presentations before, and so you know maybe what it's like to attend a lecture or a slide presentation. You may have even been to an event where there's a panel of guests and they're sitting at the front and people in the audience can ask questions. All of those things will happen at LDSPMA. There are opening sessions, which are really interesting. Do not assume that because they happen first thing in the morning that they are less important than sleep, because they're actually great to attend. And there'll be a keynote speaker, and those were actually some of my highlights from the last conference. Like Stephen Sharp Nelson was one of the keynote speakers, where we all get to attend that session. It's for the whole group. And then there are breakout sessions, which are specialized to the different areas of creative endeavor. So there will be people who are involved in music and songwriting and music production. Then they're called tracks or streams of courses. So there will also be those related to writing and those related to publishing. And, the writing ones may have editing courses in them. But all of these various tracks exist, and you don't have to stay in a particular stream. You can follow your interest, your inspiration. There's nothing to say that someone who loves songwriting can't attend a class that is also is about a topic outside of their current activities. You'll find lots of courses about the business of developing your creativity, but also having it reach the end recipient, the listener, the reader, the viewer. And so those are really important too. And I've been on several of the conference calls related to planning the conference. And I can tell you there is a small army of people who are working really, really hard to find the sort of the best teachers and presenters for the conference. And most of that is in documents right now that you can go and see, and you could start choosing. You could even, ask questions about, what would you advise or what might be good for me? Talk to your parents, talk to your other mentors, show them the schedule, and maybe have a game plan before you go. It's a little bit overwhelming to have so many options every hour or every time period, every session period, to, make the decision on the spot of where you'd like to go. Also, at the same time as all of these scheduled activities are going, there is a networking opportunity. Do not be shy. And you walk into a large room, as I experienced it last time. There were labels on tables of different genres for writing, and I'm sure that there were other networking opportunities also for people involved in music. But I walked in and I thought, oh my goodness, I feel like an imposter, because most of my writing is still in manuscript form, so it hasn't been published yet. But I found a group of people to sit with, and they write nonfiction, so biography, memoir, that kind of thing. And I found my people. I found people who were doing things that were like the things that I was doing. And anyway, that's a networking opportunity. There will also be an exhibition or a kind of a fair where you can walk around and actually meet people who are doing the things that you do, and they will have samples of their books or their learning materials or their recordings available for purchase. I shouldn't say samples, they'll have merchandise ready for purchase, and you can talk to them. I got to have some really great conversations with people I admire who are also writing realistic fiction. And so that was a really great thing too. So there's that. And then there are evening events. All of this is available on the website, LDSPMA.org. And if you're registered, you will have links and updates coming to your email or perhaps to your parents' email. Make sure you look over those. It's a lot of information, but it will help you make a game plan for attending. And yeah, so one last thing I wanted to say that happens at LDSPMA, and it has to do with what CJ said and the feeling I've felt while I've been listening to other people on this call. And it's the company of the Spirit. So I've been an aspiring writer for a long time, a long time. I'm 61 years old, and I probably started writing when I was 6 or 7. And when I was in high school, that's when I realized that what I wrote might be interesting to other people. And I created a lot of poetry, entered a lot of contests, short stories, things like that, and happened to win a lot of awards. But when I was 18 and graduated from high school and dove right into university, I felt like a very small fish in a very big pond, and I didn't know how to talk to people about my aspirations or ideas. But I listened to the Spirit, and I attended a lot of writing conferences. I live in Canada, but I'll travel to learn in lots of different places. And one thing I love about LDSPMA is it's a place where the Spirit is welcome. And so one of the most important things that happens at this conference is that the Spirit will speak to you. I would encourage you, when you take notes, if that's something you like to do, that you draw a line from the top of your page to the bottom at about dividing it into 2/3 and 1/3. And on the 2/3 side, go ahead and write down information and the content of the presentation. And on that other side, write down what the Spirit tells you, because it could be related to that actual presentation, but it might be related to something in addition that that Heavenly Father wants for you and for your life. So I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Heather. I'm going to close up for us because we're out of time, but I want to leave you with a few things. We were going to get together November 8th, and we want to hear what you thought about the conference and how you felt. The other thing that I want to leave you with, Heather's right. The Spirit's what matters. I think can you hear that dinging? That's my family. They won't stop. So the Spirit really is your best creative companion. And I think when you go to the conference this year and whenever you create, think about what's your message. What do you want to tell people? Think about some of your creations as service if you can. I would really spend a lot of time connecting with your Heavenly Father and asking him, what is your calling? What does he want you to do? Because I write books, not for money, but because it was inspired. But yeah, sometimes I have to sell them, but then I give service in other places, like right here. So think when you're at LDSPMA, what do you want to see going forward? Who are you? What's your calling? What are you going to do with the rest of your life? And then we want to get together and talk about what you learn. And I just want to close up with thank you for being here. Thank you, CJ. That was amazing. You are amazing. And Jane, man, I would be following him. He's pretty incredible. And all of you, if you want to write, I'm an author, write me if you have questions. And Ari, I saw you the years that you were first at LDSPMA, and I thought you were the coolest kid ever. And she is, and now she's a cool adult. So you're my friends. We'll be your friends. There's people there for you. We want to be there for you. And President Nelson is exactly right. You are in a place to change the whole world with the phone in the back of your pocket. And if that's what you want to do, and you want to do it for your Heavenly Father, and he's there with you, you will do the best and the better than you could ever do alone. True creation happens when the Spirit and you are one, and you're creating together, and all of a sudden you look up and realize a whole day's gone by and you have a whole book written that you couldn't. I wrote 10,000 words in one day. It's just pouring out. And I want you to get that connection as much as I want you to network with people. So have fun at the conference, and thanks for being here.